Well, now I come to the third. Is it the third? Yes, the third in 1 week of a series of videos where I review two episodes in one video. First was Gotham, second was The Flash, and now we have Arrow. The episode from last week, which was actually the winter premiere, and this episode, which sort of continued the storyline from said winter premiere. Now, story-wise, it takes place after Oliver went to face off with Ra's al Ghul, and he failed, and he's presumed dead. And basically, the first episode, Left Behind, basically deals with the repercussions of that and how all the different characters react, and weaving this. It's not really a mystery, or at least not to the audience members, but seeing the characters grapple with the question, is he dead? Is he not dead? Can we really do this without him? Blah, blah, blah. And then, last night's episode, Midnight City, I believe it was called, dealt with this new gang member or gang leader played by Vinnie Jones, who's basically risen up and aims to take over the Glades for some reason in the Arrow's absence, while at the same time Roy, Diggle, yeah, that's it, Roy and Diggle are trying to stop him, but are failing. And basically, this paves the way for Laurel to take up the mantle of the Black Canary. While at the same time, Ray Palmer is getting closer and closer to achieving what he needs to achieve to become the Atom, to complete his suit that he can hopefully go out and fight crime in. Now, I will say this. The first episode was definitely the stronger of the two for a few reasons, but really these two episodes do sort of function as one pair of episodes in my mind because of what they are trying to do and the story that they are telling. Over the course of these two episodes, the dealing with Oliver's supposed death is really well handled. The episodes do not get bogged down in grief. There is still a plot going on. It's not like the plot stops. But at the same time, the atmosphere, the acting, and really the overall tone is pretty much perfect. I was really impressed by how they were able to maintain this show's status as a story-based action show, while at the same time taking the appropriate amount of time out to really come to terms or really come to grips with the fact that their leader is gone for all they know. So the first episode was definitely the stronger of the two. Really, in terms of raw emotion, the raw emotion really played a big part in why I enjoyed it so much. How there was this overarching feeling of uncertainty when in regards to the future. However, the second episode, while it did have its fair share of good moments, I really think it highlights a problem that was pointed out to me recently, and this is something that's kind of been in the back of my mind, and it was only brought to the front of my mind after I watched this episode, which was this show seems to really be getting lost in its attempts to set up this larger universe of DC superheroes. And I understand that there is a certain element of escalation and expansion that comes with the territory with something like this, but in reality, the main character always was and should be Oliver Queen. And the fact that the show is devoting so much attention to trying to set up these other costume superheroes, particularly in this season, is sort of taking away from that. And it would be one thing if these new costume superheroes were interesting. Some of them are fine, like Ray Palmer, I kind of like, and Wildcat. Wildcat, I liked him okay, but people like Laurel, and this goes beyond me not liking Laurel as a character, but let's just tackle that for a second. The issue with this is that Laurel is not a likable character. She has never been a likable character on this show. She is obnoxious. She is self-absorbed, self-righteous. She is petulant. She always blames everyone else for her problems. She's not a strong female character, despite the fact that they try to label her as such. When I see her dress up as the Black Canary and try and impersonate her sister, who is by far the better character, the more interesting character, then I just don't buy it. And I know Katie Cassidy is trying to bulk up, but again, she still does not look the part. And this may have been just a fundamental miscalculation going all the way back to the casting of season 1. Because from the minute we heard that her full name was Dinah Laurel Lance, then fans everywhere said, okay, so she's going to be the Black Canary. Not to sound too pompous about it, but in the back of my mind, I was even back then when the show first started, I was thinking, is she going to have what it takes to pull this off? And if these 2 episodes are any indication, the answer is no. And I'm not trying to be some kind of internet troll to tear something down just because I don't like it. I genuinely wanted this premise to work. I want this show to succeed because I like it. And the fact that Laurel is such an insipid, unlikable little toad, and the fact that we are supposed to root for her and we are supposed to cheer when she finally dons the mask and the leather jacket and the staff. And the fact that, in my opinion, it failed so miserably really has me questioning in where the show can possibly go from here, because at this point there's not really any going back. And I don't want to believe that the creators of this show were pressured by fans, because I know a lot of fans who basically said, okay, when is she going to don the suit? Going beyond the fact that Laurel is not a likable character, and getting back to the issue at hand, the fact that the focus seems to be shifting away from Oliver, whose story is by far more interesting than a lot of this setup. Even characters that I kind of like Ray Palmer and Wildcat. It seems like the fact that they are taking so long to set up these characters really takes time away from what could be really compelling stuff in regards to Oliver and Ra's al Ghul, the supposed villain of the season, who we have barely seen thus far. And again, there's plenty of time left. I mean, true, Slade Wilson didn't show up in season 2, or at least not as a bad guy until the halfway point, but again, there's just this question raised, and I have to wonder if Vinnie Jones's character is really just sort of an excuse, sort of an obstacle for these other heroes to prove themselves. I hope that's not the case, but even Palmer and Wildcat, their introductions are not as well handled as Barry Allen's introduction, which was basically just a 2-episode stint and then he was gone, off to do his own show. That was fine. It was just a quick 2-episode setup, and then we were back to the main story. And what's more, Barry Allen, they actually found a way to tie Barry Allen into the main story by having him help Oliver when he could not defeat Cyrus Gold, who as we know was influenced and aided by the Mirakuru, which was basically the MacGuffin of last season. Now, with all that being said, the material with Oliver and even some of the material with the side characters is still very good. I liked Oliver really starting to recover and communicate with some of the people from his flashbacks, like Maseo and Tatsu, both of whom I like. That material is some of the most interesting stuff on the show, and that's where the show still really has it, in my opinion. But it seems like there's this secondary goal that is almost eclipsing the primary goal, which is to tell Oliver Queen's story. It's supposed to be about his humanity, But the secondary goal that seems to be eclipsing that is to really make this 3rd season more of an ensemble piece. And the fact that it has yielded such mixed results really has me distressed over the future quality of this show. Now, now again, I enjoyed these two episodes a fair amount while I was watching them, but the direction that the show is going kind of has me worried. If we're speaking from a technical perspective, these episodes were still very well directed. The action was very well shot. The acting, there's nothing wrong with the acting, but the fact that they are trying to build up this larger universe, I think, is really hurting what could have potentially been a very interesting third season. But hopefully my fears are soon to be subsided and proven wrong by the creators of this show, but I guess only time will tell.